we've talked a ton about data and all social media and a lot of the good. But what is the dark side to it? Because there is a dark side to this social media thing. And, the other thing is there such a thing as too much? Like, do you get social media fatigue, if you will? Like, oh my, because, it almost is. It hits, they talk about how some of this stuff with social media hits the same parts of the brain that some, drugs do. And it's it's feeding people that go in there. And I tell you, there's sometimes I just want to put it down, but there's something else that allures me back.
Wow. That may be the hardest question Pea and Pizza
podcast
has ever asked. Oh my gosh. Like unpacking that. The good thing that I'm, doing my doctoral research on that topic. Actually, I included a pretty extensive literature review on what I call dark social.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Let's start with some of the low-hanging fruit. Okay. One of the big areas is cyberbullying and cyber harassment. It's a big issue.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't need to go into any of what we've seen politically with Twitter, right? I think that's all well documented with what's happened there with banning and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this: I think when it happens within our own profession, and we can't, it's okay. Look, it's okay to disagree,
right?
And at times we will disagree, and that's okay. But when you start taking personal attacks, I'll be honest with you, there was a situation that happened to one of my friends that I work with, and they had some pretty nasty things said to them, threatening things said to them.
Wow.
And I immediately said, I'm sorry, I don't have any tolerance for this. And I immediately called an emergency meeting and said, I think we need to really think about doing a public service announcement on cyberbullying, cyber harassment. And actually, we'll be doing something on March 1st regarding that as well. We'll be seeing that. I think it's going to be in the form of a town hall for that very reason. Again, I'm all for great heated debate. It's great. Look, it's what helps us see all sides, and I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the place, if you're going to threaten someone's life,
right,
or you're going to say something about their character as a parent, really, there's just no place for it, especially within our own profession. Actually, I take it back. Okay, in any profession, it's just not the way we should be acting as people. And so, Keith, you asked a very tough question, but there is a dark side to it that sometimes, and again, sometimes people's egos can get in the way,
mm-hmm.
and they don't do enough research, and they're, misrepresenting things, and that can be a problem. And then to get to the problem, the other issue you brought up, Sean Neville's asked me this. He asked me, for someone like me, who's on social media, I don't know, quite a bit, I guess. And is there such a thing as fatigue? Yes. There was a time where I told our team, I basically need a week. My daughter, who's 15, at the time she was 14, she had some stuff going on. She's on TikTok and that, and she had, some things where she voluntarily came to me and my wife and said, I want to get off social media for a month. And surprisingly, she did it. Now she's come back and it's fine. But yeah, to answer your question authentically, sometimes when it's kind of like when you have more negative messaging going on, right? That's why, like, what's going on in our world or our United States or our profession, sometimes it's just kind of hard to take in some of that. And it's hard, and sometimes we do need a break from it.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing I would say is, as a dark side, I think sometimes people can get their success on social media wrapped up in views. It's really easy to do and be thinking, oh, they didn't like this, or they didn't retweet that, or and sometimes it's like, look, like if it comes to me personally, it's like I always try to retweet as much valuable content as I can. But sometimes, even with some of my friends in the profession that are in other states, maybe I was busy, for that morning news cycle and I didn't see it all.
Right.
Sometimes there's such a volume of it, as we talked earlier, that I don't see it. And then someone starts to think, oh, they don't, they start to think maybe there's something that they did wrong or whatever, or that's not the case at all. The
Wow.
reality is sometimes people are just busy and they miss the typical cycle. For me, I'm a morning person and I'm slamming in the morning all the time.
Mhm.
Sometimes, you know what, once in a great while, I don't know, maybe I have to do something, right? And I can't, focus. And people see basically a change in my behavior by not seeing all that retweeting going on. Then someone thinks, oh, is it me? No. It has nothing to do with that. The two are unrelated. So it's a great question you asked. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised in the future if I probably will go on a deep dive on this topic for a variety of reasons. And also for those that are on the front lines that do actually post a lot. Yeah, there's some things that need to be unpacked more. And again, I don't want to go to a deep dive on this show, but I'm just saying it definitely would be worth, me doing an episode, if you would,
Sure.
on Zag Pro Media about this topic, because it's a great question. And thank you for asking.